Hello and welcome everyone. I am Santosh Paliga, and in this video, I am going to start a new series of case laws in which I would explain various relevant case laws to you, which would be useful for you from exam point of view as well as concept clarity. So, without wasting any time, let's get into the first case law of the series, Salomon versus Salomon Company Limited. This case law has been an landmark case law in the subject of company law because it has laid down the concept of separate legal identity. As we know, the concept of separate legal identity states that the company, once incorporated, is a distinct person from its members and its shareholders. So the facts of the case is Mr. Solomon was a businessman, a successful leather merchant, and an boot manufacturer. So he formed an limited company which was known as Salomon and Company Limited. In this company, he himself held majority of the shares and the rest of the shares were held by the family themselves. Also, he appointed himself as the managing director of the company. He appointed himself as the managing director of the company and his two of his sons as directors of the company. So a company was formed which was named as Solomon and Company Limited. What Mr. Solomon did was he sold off his sole proprietary business. He sold off his sole proprietary business to Salomon and Company Limited for a consideration, for a purchase consideration, which is as follows. He got a secured debentures of 10,000 pounds. Okay, this remember this point. He got secured debentures of 10,000 points. This will be relevant in the case going forward. Okay. Now, the second consideration that he got is he got equity shares worth 20,000 pounds, and the rest of the amount was received in cash, which was 8,782 pounds. Okay. The amount and everything is not important over here. Just remember that he got secured debentures, which means he has become an secured creditor of the company as well as as he got the equity shares, he's also the member of the company. So we have understood the facts in here. Now, what happens is that over a period of time, the company ran into financial difficulties. It was finally decided the company will go into liquidation. Liquidation means the liquidation of the assets of the company, and whatever proceeds come out of that liquidation process is paid towards the creditors of the company. This is a basic process of liquidation. Now, for the liquidation purpose, an official receiver was appointed by the company. Official receiver was appointed by the company. At this point of time, that is the when the liquidation started, the total assets of the company were 6,050 pounds. Okay, the company had only 6,050 pounds, and against that, the liabilities were such that the secured creditors had 10,000 pounds. Now, do remember over here again that this 10,000 pounds were basically those debentures which were issued to Mr. Solomon. Apart from that, there were unsecured creditors to the tune of 8,000 pounds. Okay. Now, in the process of liquidation, the official receiver decided that since the company had total assets of 6,050 pounds, the whole of the amount will go towards the discharge of the secured liability, which was held by Mr. Solomon in terms of debentures of 10,000 pounds. So, this 6,050 was totally going to be awarded to Mr. Solomon against his liability of 10,000 pounds. Okay. Now, once this happened, the unsecured creditors understood that they would get nothing out of this whole liquidation process, and hence they raised objections by arguing that the company and Mr. Solomon are the same. Mr. Solomon is the controlling member of the company. Family of Mr. Solomon is holding the rest of the stake in the company, and hence the company is just an alias or an agent of Mr. Solomon to run this business. So the company and the business and Mr. Solomon are the one and the same, and hence the amount should not go to Mr. Solomon, whereas Mr. Solomon should be held liable for the company's failures, and the amount should be paid to the unsecured creditors instead. This is the argument of the unsecured creditors. This argument they took it to the House of Lords. That is a court at that point of time. Okay, the House of Lords went through all the arguments of the unsecured creditors, the facts of the case, and then came up with two legal issues. What were the legal issues over here? One was that, can a company be treated as a separate legal person if one person holds majority of the shares? Okay, if one person holds majority of the shares. And the second legal issue is Mr. Solomon personally liable for the company's debts? Now, after going through all the legal issues and the facts of the case and everything, the House of Lords decided, the House of Lords decided that the company, once it was duly incorporated, now listen to this very, very carefully. Once the company was duly incorporated, it assumes a legal status, it assumes a separate legal identity, which makes it distinct from its members and shareholders. Okay, so it once it is incorporated, it becomes a separate legal entity, distinct from its subscribers of the memorandum and the shareholders. And even if the person holds majority of the shares, even if the person holds majority of the shares, what does this mean? It means that if Mr. Solomon, if Mr. Salomon also holds 99% of the shares, 99% of the shares, still it will not matter because the company would have a separate legal identity. Okay. This is one of the characteristic of the company. And if you have not seen the lecture of characteristics of the company, I will attach a card in this video. You can click it and go and check that characteristics of a company also. Now, what was the decision of the House of Lords on the basis of the separate legal identity concept? They ruled in favor of Mr. Solomon and said that Mr. Solomon is not personally liable for the company's debts, and debentures held by him were valid, and he was a secured creditor. And as per the liquidation process, the amount should be paid to the secured creditors first, which in this case was Mr. Solomon, and to the tune of the assets of the company in this case. Okay, so claims by the unsecured creditors were rejected in this case. Okay, so I hope you have understood this case law. This case law is underlying the concept of separate legal identity, and this was a landmark case. After this, there were many other rulings which came in various cases across the world in company law, which were based on this concept, which was laid down in this particular case, that is Salomon versus Salomon case law. So I hope this case law was useful for you. And if yes, please do subscribe to the channel, share and like this video. So that's it from me in this video. See you soon in some other video very soon. Thanks a lot.